Okay. Oh, that's doing good. That looks like my glass is. Oh, shoot. Yeah, my video's not playing, so that puts a damper on things. Let's. Well, what? I have myself here in the corner. However, I don't get to read the entire. Let me see. Let me zoom. 160. Okay. Well, let me have my. Yeah, this actually can work. I think the last thing I could do is just to change my videos. Yeah, I'm currently just struggling right now because I'm like, well, let's go whole spiel. It was working a second ago. Now it's not. Interference, laptop setup, all the jazz, all that jazz. Anyhow, let me actually change this. Yeah, I'm not popping up. I gotta restart freaking Ubbies again, but I'm streaming, and that's pretty much it. That's it. I'm stuck. Well, without further ado, I could just read all this like this. And you could still see my mug. Great thing I actually positioned it that way, this way. Now, I gotta position myself more to here, so a little more to my left side. Okay, this should be good. So, what do I want to discuss? That is what I'm remembering. So, what I do remember is that me discussing about and I completely forgot again. Today I'm having a lot of things in my mind, so what is this? This should be a personal chat. Let me actually rest my eyes for a second. So, what I do have in my mind, I still can think of what exactly I wanted to say about lifestyle. But what I do have in mind is just what is it? Going what's going on in the news, pretty much. I could say that, but that's just me looking at what's going on in the world. And oh boy, it seems like a lot of things are changing, even though I was just playing video games. I missed few hours reporting on what happened in the Capitol and stuff. So yeah, it got me off in a loop. My loop of relaxing. So yeah, I'm taking time to process that, and that will take time, especially with more and more info coming out about that scenario. Besides that, I think the best thing I could do with this wiki page is just to read about things that stand out. So what stand out to me is obviously the whole prevention under the workplace versus education. So besides that, what is it? I don't know in the history. This is just a bunch of data and stuff like that, so there's really no importance. And health effects. What is it? Absenteeism. So really, those are just the two out of the three I discussed. The third one's actually what I remember. What has to do absolutely with freaking standing desks and how people can use it for their benefit. So the first thing I should just talk about is pretty much the health effects. One thing that struck me most has to do with the whole idea of absenteeism when it comes to decreased productivity and being part of sedentary lifestyle. Because what is it? Let me actually just click over here. Yeah, I actually got my... Yay! This is actually a good solution. So absenteeism is a habitual pattern of absence from a duty or obligation without good reason. So pretty much it just talks about a lack of so much work for a worker that they tend to be inactive, and that could also be pretty much detrimental for work that has to involve personal health, fitness, and stuff like that. So let me see. And directly hold a second. An increased BMI can lead to decreased productivity from necessary activities like work. Missing work and not being productive results in obvious short-term and long-term effects like less income and job security. Okay, so this refers to the whole being unproductive, not being lazy per se, but naturally just being less unproductive because you're pretty much just cushioned to the point that you don't have to do much work, and it's troubling if you work in the line of work that can be demanding, especially from time to time. If there's a lot of hurry up and wait. So with the BMI, body mass index, is just referring to people who have like a big amount of weight and tend to be unproductive because they tend to easily get tired out and stuff. And yeah, I find that interesting because absenteeism is referring to the habitual pattern, this phenomenon of what occurs. So absenteeism has been viewed as an indicator of poor individual performance as well as a breach of implicit contract between employee and employer. It is seen as a management problem framed in economic or quasi-economic terms. Most recent scholarship seeks to understand absenteeism as an indicator of psychological, medical, or social adjustment to work. Yeah, workplace managing plan. Yeah, there's a lot of things that refer to this phenomenon, this idea that people tend to be in cahoots with, not knowingly. But yeah, that's the thing that stands out. Yeah, sedentary lifestyle can lead to that. That's also related to physiological and physical things that are going on with a person. Besides that, oh boy, the prevention part, this is what I wanted to talk about. The second thing I want to discuss is the yeah, let me whoop. The differences between okay, I got that. All right, yeah, the differences between. Let me do. The differences between the workplace and education, pretty much in the school environment. So pretty much adults instead of kids, because then again, education is not referring to people on university or college campuses and such. It's mainly referring to people who are through K to 12. But it does talk about how when it comes to activities, it's way different from a person in the workplace versus pretty much people working in education. And I feel like it could be expanded more to be related. Like an example in education, one way they want to actually promote more activity, some activeness, is for uh, students who commute in walkways, pretty much walk to school as a form of commute. So, active transportation. In the US, another intervention for children is promoting the use of active transportation to and from school, such as through a safe routes to school program where um, kids can easily walk in a safe route. So, active mobility. Oh, yeah, I also, sorry, missed that too. Matter of fact, actually, so I want to probably, yeah, I want to go more into the. But yeah, it's not. Let's talk about active transportation or the commuting part, which I believe that that is a big reason a lot of people are always active. And nowadays, a really big reason why people would be active, and um, how people used to be, because when it comes to commuting, people really never own a car, or at least call it an automobile. So a person who who was pretty much fat or obese was not common at all. Like in the late 1800s or early 1900s, like 1910, 1920, compared to nowadays in like, what 2010, 2020, 2010s to 2020s, or the aughts, 2000s, the aughts. So yeah, as you see, this person is like wearing. I can say actually a. I'm looking at the shoes and also wondering, like, oh man, I'd rather just put it in the bag and just get a pair of other shoes that it's comfy to bike ride. But I believe it's more like she has to get to work, they quickly have to meet up with people without any time to change. I had to do that, and yeah, it's a real thing. So yeah, I'm surprised that they don't really refer to this as much. So yeah, I believe that is a big thing. A lot of people don't really consider it, and another part also I probably has to go with uh, gym, uh, gyms where usually people would put their time towards exercising that instead of having an active lifestyle. My personal fitness is a lifestyle choice rather than goals. or sets I look at. On So yeah, why did they include that? So let me actually reread this too to see what if I'm missing any. Some workplaces have implemented exercise classes at lunch, walk challenges among work co-workers, or allowing employees to stand rather than sit in their desks during work. Okay, there's no high-quality evidence that such interventions provide long-term health effects. Yeah, this just refers to freaking standing back instead of just workplace things like. Uh, so I'm gonna talk about this particular. If it is going to discuss about workplaces, what about workplace services like companies having their own personal gyms for employees to work, especially with the big new firms that have that type of money and that large basis to actually entice people. I mean, let's go with Google for example. Google has its own personal gym um, in the Google campus in Silicon Valley. So yeah, and a lot of all the other employers are also promoting that in order to make sure people and their employees don't have health issues that they have to take sick leave or there's accidents that occur. So it's something that they do promote. So I wonder why it's not included here. Seems like yeah, in the bare bones it just says exercise classes, lunch, walking challenges among coworkers, or allow employees to stand rather. Yeah, it's not referring to actual gyms itself. But anywho, it does refer to the classes, I guess. It should be company sponsored classes or in uh, in workplace class exercise classes. But something to look at. I know I'll recall this when remembering this. And the last thing, just because I'm actually currently I'm doing it right now, so I could actually try it out, is that yeah, standing and making a whole paragraph saying how it's can be low quality and low grade and stuff like that. That is something a lot of workplaces don't really do. It's a bit of a hassle to what actually put one in because the workplace making sure that there's no issues, also the installation and maintenance of it. So yeah, and that said, this actually goes with standing desks in general. I'm even going to refer to this when I go to an actual Wikipedia article referring to standing desks. Is that it is not good to just standing in one place, being stationary. It is as much as sitting because you're not being active. Active is the process of moving around and stuff like that. Not to stay still, regardless of what position you are, because your body does get comfortable with it. It doesn't always exert energy or stuff like that. I mean, that's the reason why we sweat. We are able to maintain our body temperature, but overall able to have endurance for our bodies to handle certain tasks and things. So yeah, standing around in any position or such, uh, to a point, it does not give you so much benefits. This even refers to like posture, yoga postures, and forms a person does. So yeah, that would include postures that people would usually form in yoga or tai chi or stuff like that. And yeah, but people don't do that. People, when they usually would stand, would, as I'm doing right now, is to show you, fidgeting. So yeah, you don't see my leg doing it, so I think the best way to do it is, let me see. Yeah, I'm actually balancing my entire body and stuff like that. I'm moving up and down. That's not being stationary. It's not being still. I also say stationary because I'm moving my heel, and this is actually more visible. I am just leaning side by side, so left, right, and I do that every time. There's plenty of people who would do that because also standing in one position would get a bit tiring at first. That people would actually move around. So stand desk is not for standing. It's for uh, being actively standing around on on a desk on a table. So yeah, people who like constantly like stand and just like work in one position, I sort of have a hard time seeing that unless they're pretty much zone in. But I can recall, and this is actually just me working at home. It's just me moving around from this end of the desk where I have my monitor and computer stuff like that towards the other side, further here, where it's pretty much a workbench or what project is laying out and things I need to do while actually using this. So I go back and forth. It's my workstation. So I could also see that with people who have to manage other things, talk to people and such, or let alone just utilizing this entire desk space and trying to move around stuff like that. I have a feeling that people actually don't do that. They actually would be enticed to actually stand just in one place is not to be a disturbance and possible it being an annoyance by making a bunch of noise that people who are working or living uh, downstairs if you're in an upper room it creates, but that is usually specific and not many people experience that. There won't be much issues. So what is it? Yeah, I'm just a bit fluttered just because I'm like, well, there's a lot more into um, actively standing around. It's not like you're just being in one position. So, you know, while I explain my gripe, I now really want to prove that wrong, but actually me just being a little bit of movement and stuff, I feel like this video is actually doing good, and unfortunately now I'm actually going to change up my camera because since my mouse is working, I figured I could actually solve my camera issue because it does not have project and I have to use the actual program that I'm streaming here. So yeah. Yep, that is the thing. So what else now? Oh yeah, another thing is also standing desks. They have it here, but why don't they just have it in school? Some schools have it, or have students actually actively stand up in their desk. So it's not that common compared to standing desk being in workplaces, but it does exist. So it could just be that a lot of people just think of standing desk whenever people say they want to be active in the workplace office, where most employees usually just sit in one desk in a cubicle. Cubicles don't exist anymore, but understand, that shared workspace, but with less privacy, which Which some places that have those workplaces, they don't have much privacy and are not that productive compared to in a cubicle. But yeah, that's a whole workplace challenge that has existed for quite a while. There's a reason why they freaking adopted that god awful cubicle thing, because they thought it would be useful. In some ways, it can be. Anyway, I talk about active mobility tomorrow. Besides that, so long.